Yo, what is up guys, this is TV here, and today I'm coming at you with a Pokemon X and Y mixed tier Wi-Fi battle versus the Tito Station. He is also known as the guy who made this motherfucking beautiful layout for this video. Now guys, this is going to be a mixed tier battle. This is going to be a battle where we bring one Uber, two OU, one UU, one RU, and one NU Pokemon each. So you can see our team sort of thing there. I'm bringing some power, he's bringing some power, and this is a really good battle for you guys. So without further ado, let's jump into the battle. And before we get into it, can we hit 20 likes, because this is easily the best battle I've ever had on my channel. This battle is absolutely insane. So without any ado, let's jump into the battle here. So we're gonna jump in right now into the battle. So we can see Louise issuing a challenge right there with that hat on, as he goes to throw the Pokeball out of his hand. And he throws out his Galvantula. I'm like, okay. I let out my Raticate because I know I can protect and see what he wants to go for first turn. That was my main idea with this thing. So I go for the protect here, and I'm like, after I clicked it, I'm like, oh god, he's going to go for the sticky web, isn't he? And of course he goes for the sticky web, and I'm like, oh well shit, I can't believe I didn't predict that. So he gets the sticky web up, and I'm like, okay then. So he has the sticky web up on my team now. I'm like, okay, he goes for the Volt Switch here. I'm like, oh no, I can kill... I can hit something with a clean ass facade here, and I'm like, yes, it's something with a facade. But I forgot he had the Spiritomb just chilling around the back, just like, yo, look at his fucking face, just like chilling around the back, like, ready to take that facade, and it doesn't affect him. And I'm like, well, fuck, okay, I just took all that damage on Raticate for no fucking reason now. So I go for the U-turn here, and I'm like, yeah, let's get the fuck out of here now. So I get out of there with the critical hit, which is kind of nice. It is kind of nice. So he switches out. And I'm like, you know what, I can go into my Porygon too. I can take whatever attack this thing wants to go for. He goes, I get caught in a sticky web, which I realise, okay, this thing's going to be a problem. I need to get rid of the sticky web, like, as soon as possible. So, he goes to the Calm Mind here, and I'm like, oh, well, shit, it's setting up Calm Minds. Spiritomb setting up Calm Minds is not something you want to see on the other side of the field to you. So, he gets some more leftovers recovery here, and I'm like, okay. Foul play, see how much it does. That is my plan. But he goes for the Pain Split here, and he gets a shit ton of HP back, as I just lose quite a bit of HP, and I'm like, okay, foul play, please do a decent amount to Spiritomb. It does like nothing, and I don't know why. I was kind of half predicting at the same time he could switch out into like an attacker. That T-Tar still running around the back. No, it's not very effective, but it would have got a bit of damage off. So I switch out here, and I'm like, you know what, Fruit Punch, you can take one foul play from this thing. And then you can hit it with a Spore. Sorry about my cough, guys, my throat is still really hurting. But I got this battle recorded, and I really want to show it to you guys, so yeah. So he goes to the foul play here, and Fruit Punch eats that up like a champ. And like, Fruit Punch is like, okay, hit that thing with a Spore. Go on, Fruit Punch, Spore that thing to sleep. So he's asleep now. Spiritomb is gone to sleep, which is quite good, So Spiritomb's asleep, and I'm like, you know what, I can Bullet Seed this thing and hopefully take it out quickly. Well, as soon as possible, really. This thing needs to go. So I'm like, okay, Fruit Punch, hit it with that 5 times Bullet Seed. Hit 5 Bullet Seeds, please. He hits that 1, I'm like, oh my god, if he hits 5, I could nearly take this thing out. He hits 2, and then he stops. He's like, no, I'm not throwing any more bullets at this thing. No, screw you guys. So I'm like, Fruit Punch, come on. This turn, if you hit 5 Bullet Seeds, you will kill this thing. Please hit 5 Bullet Seeds. Like, come on, Fruit Punch. We were talking on Skype Live, and I was actually like, come on, please, Fruit Punch, ask him for this thing to do it. And he was like, no, stop now. And I hit this third one, and he was like, please don't hit another one. And I hit the last one, which means that Spiritomb goes down. That thing is gone. Thank God for that. And that Spiritomb is gone. I don't have to deal with that thing anymore. He goes out into this Lugia, and I'm like, oh my god, this thing's going to be a problem to deal with. So I'm like, you know what, Deoxys, you can take whatever hit he wants to go for here. You can pretty much take whatever hit he wants to go for, so go out into Deoxys. And, yeah. So, I get the pressure off on the Deoxys. As he goes to the Aeroblast, I'm like, okay, Deoxys, eat that Aeroblast up. I know you can. And it's a crit, and it does less than half, and I'm like, oh my god, Deoxys, you're an absolute defensive machine. So he takes that up there, and I'm like, okay, I can set up an Iron Defense. I don't know why I want to set up an Iron Defense, in case I want to go into a physical attack or something. I just want to, like, you know what, let's try setting up some Iron Defenses. Let's get some more defense up, and we're going to be sitting pretty here. So we're sitting around here now, and I'm like, okay. He goes for the extra sensory here. I'm like, okay, I'm going to recover up here because I'm on like a low amount of HP, and I need this Deoxys alive if I want to put in some work later in the battle. So Deoxys is like, you know what, screw you, I'm going to extend my arms and recover all my HP back that you just took. At this point, I'm like, okay, I have Psy Strike, I have Psy Shot, and I have Toxic left on this thing. I'm like, you know what, let's go for a Psy Shock, see how much it does. And I hit this Lugia with that Psy Shock there, and it does a decent amount, I guess. I guess it does a decent amount to the Lugia here, which is alright, I guess. It's okay. So I'm like, you know what? If I go for another Psy Shock, it's going to do like nothing as he keeps going for these extra sensories on me. And I'm like, okay. Let's go for the Toxic. Let's get this motherfucker Toxic, and so he's going to slowly die. And I don't have to deal with this thing later, because that is not what I want to be doing, dealing with this thing later in the battle. So, this Lugia is Toxic now. I'm like, okay, Lugia's Toxic. He withdraws Lugia here. I'm like, I can go for another Psy Shock. I can try and stall this Lugia out. He goes out into his Cresselia here, and I'm like, okay, this thing's probably going to eat up this Psy Shock like a motherfucker. And it does do that. It just eats it up so well. Right now, I'm like, okay, what can I go into to take this thing out? He holds up his red card against me, which means my Deoxys is out of there. And I get dragged out into my Fruit Punch here, and I'm like, okay, Fruit Punch? Come on, you can do this. So like, he withdraws Cresselia here, and I'm like, okay, I might pull the double switch here. I might pull the double switch here and move out into something else, because this Lugia is going to be, that Cresselia is going to be a problem. Fruit Punch, I was scared of the Psychic, really. That was my main reason for switching out. Even though I went into Twinkle Toe, I knew I could take one Psychic with Twinkle Toe, because he is a really defensive Hitmontop, to be fair. So Twinkle Toe is just out of here. He's out here, and like, you know what? He can go for whatever he wants. See, he goes for an extra sensory here, and Twinkle Toe just eats it up. And I have the Citrus Berry as well. So Twinkle Toe just eats that Citrus Berry there, like nom nom nom. And I'm like, you know what? Rapid Spin these motherfucking Sticky Web away, because I do not like being at -1 speed as soon as I switch in. So that Sticky Web is gone, and I'm like, okay, Sticky Web's gone. Thank God for that. So he goes to an Aeroblast here, and I'm like, Hitmontop, look into my eyes. I know you can live this. He lives it with 12 HP. Not only that, he hits the Stone Edge onto the Lugia, and it's like, it's a crit as well. Oh my god, Hitmontop was putting in so much work, and right now I saw that and I was like, weakness policy. Oh fuck, this thing could take this. This thing could have been a problem if I didn't get that Toxic off earlier, and the Toxic takes the Lugia out. And I'm like, oh my fucking god, yes. Yes, the Lugia's gone. So right now he goes out into the Cresselia here, and I was like, okay, he can switch out into the T-Tar. He can do anything here. He could switch out. I'm like, you know what? I thought he was just gonna go for a Psychic, so I just went for the close combat. Just on the thing. And then I thought to myself, he might not even have any attacking moves. This Cresselia might not have any attacking moves. This might be perfect. So he sets up the Reflect and the Light Screen. So the Reflect and the Light Screen, I just go for a Stone Edge. I wanted to see how much damage it does, and it does like nothing again. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna Toxic you, because that is my 4th move, and nobody really expects to see a Toxic on a Hitmontop. I'm like, you know what, thrust, and then he thrusts, and then there we go. Oh, it's not really thrust really, and there's a Toxic on the Cresselia, and then this Cresselia is not going to be as big as a threat as it was going to be previously. So this Cresselia is poisoned. Twinkle Toe is taking some poison damage. I live with 3 HP, and Twinkle Toe is putting in the work here. He withdraws to Cresselia, and he's probably predicting me to go for, like, I don't know, I think he's predicting me to go for a close combat or something. But I go for another Stone Edge because he did a little bit more close combat, and it brings the Galvantula down to the Focus Sash. And I'm like, oh yes. You're gonna go down poison damage here, Twinkle Toe. You did your work. You put in your work, Twinkle Toe, and I'm so grateful I had you on my team. But now Twinkle Toe goes down. I'm like, okay, Eradicate, come out and Sucker Punch this thing. This was risky because he could have gone for a Sticky Web here, and I would have been fucked, because I'd like, there goes the stick. There's everyone else's speed gone again. But he doesn't. I just get that priority Sucker Punch off onto the Galvantula and take it out, and I'm taking poison damage here. And I'm like, okay. Its Reflect wears off as well, which is quite good for me, I guess. So he goes out into this T-Tar, and I'm like, okay, what can this be? This could be an Assault Vested T-Tar. This could be anything, really. I don't really know what this T-Tar's going to want to do. He Mega Evolves with the T-Tar. I'm like, okay, Mega Tyranitar. I haven't really seen many of these. I'm not very good with dealing with these, really. So I'm like, you know what, I went for the U-turn here, because I wanted to keep my Eradicate around for later in the battle, because that priority Sucker Punch can come in helpful. So that's, U-turn does about half this T-Tar, and I'm like, okay. Eradicate, come back to me, you've done some work. I got into my Porygon 2 because I know it can take whatever this thing really wants to go for. So he Dragon Dances up. He Dragon Dances up here, and there we go. He gets the Dragon Dance up, and I'm like, well, shit. So Porygon 2 is getting buffeted by the Sandstorm, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and use it as a defense against him. So he goes to the Stoner Cheer. I knew I could live one attack from this thing, as I do, and I'll go for the foul play. I'm like, okay, let's see how much this foul play does. He's at +1, and it does a decent amount, seeing as it's not very effective as well. So that's quite good. It does a decent amount there. So Polygon 2 is definitely gonna go down here. I think he goes for the crunch just on the off chance that I would have switched out into my Deoxys, so he would have taken that out as well. So my Polygon 2 goes down. I'm like, okay. Eradicate, come in here, and you turn out again. That was my plan, I think. I was going... No, I went for the Sucker Punch, actually. I went for the Sucker Punch. As he goes for another Dragon Dance, I'm like... We were talking on Skype, and there was so much reverse psychology going on here. I was like, oh, am I going to go for the... He's like, I'm going to go for another Dragon Dance. I'm like, nah, you're not going to go for another Dragon Dance. And we're just talking to each other like that. So this explains this little stalling thing going out here. I'm like, you know what? I don't think he's going to go for another... I think he's going to go for another Dragon Dance. But he does. I'm like, okay, I took that risk, and I was like, okay. That risk probably wasn't worth taking here, to be fair. So right now I'm like, okay. So his speed rises again. Sandstorm subdues, and I'm like, okay. I take the toxic damage, and I'm down to 10 HP, and I'm like, okay. He is gonna. I was scared. I was scared right now. My heart was pounding because I was like, he's not gonna go for another Dragon Dance, is he? He goes for another Dragon Dance, and I'm like, oh my god, yes. So I get the U-turn off, and I'm like, oh my god, thank God for that. I get the U-turn off, and I take this Tyranitar out. So he was like, no, I'm gonna attack you this turn. I was like, okay. I don't want to risk going for the Sucker Punch. I think he'll get greedy and go. He went back for the Dragon Dance again. I'm like, oh, thank God for that. That was such a pivotal point in this match. Right there, taking that Tyranitar out was so important. So he goes out into this Cresselia now, and I'm like, okay, Rock Tomb this Cresselia. Let's get rid of a bit of his. Let's just try and store. Let's get rid of its speed a bit. And this is where I fully worked out in the battle that it has no attacking moves because it could have taken me out. With that, I think it's quite effective psychic attack. Psychic attacks there onto Fruit Punch. So I'm like, okay, I don't think this thing has any attacking type moves. So I'm like, you know what, I can go for a Bullet Seed, see how much damage it does. And Bullet Seed does like a decent amount of damage to Cresselia here. And I'm like, I get that crit there, and I'm like, oh, okay. But it only hits twice, which is kind of unlucky because of the crit. So he goes for another Reflect here. I'm like, oh, goddamn. Okay. Fruit Punch, stay alive. Just stay alive, please, Fruit Punch. So he gets taken that toxic damage there and gets taken out from that. And right now I'm like, okay. He's got his Excadrill left. This Excadrill could take out my whole team. That is what I was scared of. This Excadrill could take out my whole team. I'm like, you know what, Mach Punch. I'm going to get as much damage off as possible onto this Excadrill. It does about half. The Air Balloon pops, but he goes to the Rock Slide, and that's just going to completely destroy me here. Fruit Punch ain't living that shit. Oh, yeah, he is. What am I going on about? Fruit Punch lives that then. I'm like, okay. Okay, Fruit Punch, you're around here now. And I'm like, okay. He goes to the Earthquake there. I was like, I didn't want to go for another Mach Punch in case he didn't kill. I was more rather gone for the Bullet Seed on it. But he goes out. I go out into my Raticate here, and I'm like, okay. He's saying he's not. I'm just gonna go for the Sucker Punch. But no. He was saying, oh, I'm gonna go for the Swords Dance. I'm like, nah, you're not going to. And I was like, okay, he is gonna go for the Swords Dance. So I went for the Facade, and that ended the battle right there. So I'm like, okay, Raticate, you can live that. He lives with 2 HP, and I'm like, oh my god. If he goes to another Swords Dance, I've lost. But I went for the Sucker Punch because there was nothing else I could do. I didn't want to risk it. And the Sucker Punch takes him out. It was so close. What a battle, mate. I'm sorry, but that was so close there, to be honest. Thanks for a great battle. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the battle. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Twerkoal out.